Hello, welcome to Who the Hell Asked. Byron,
Slade.
and
Why,
we have a guest.
hello?
Yeah, YoshiPhoenix. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. Glad to be back. Glad to see you guys again.
Oh yeah, we always love having you on, Yoshi, even though it's only the second time. Hopefully, the second time of many. So today we're going to be covering some fairly interesting topics. One that we're probably a little bit behind on, and then it's going to segue into our big juicy topic that spoilers you're going to hear me and Yoshi rant about quite a bit. So we're going to be covering the Kotaku article that published about Metroid Dread and Emulation. And then we're going to be covering Nintendo's new online service subscription for the N64 and Sega Genesis. So, oh boy.
Yeah, so let's start with that Kotaku article. So Kotaku put out an article about Metroid Dread and it being available to emulate on Switch emulators already. And on screen, I will have some screenshots of the old article, as there is a reason for that. We will say in a moment. But the first part of the article goes, "Hey, real quick, if you were a Nintendo lawyer or employee, just don't read this. It was a silly mistake. Ignore this blog. You can now go." Okay, everyone else, and then it just.
Yeah, what a
and then,
shit show.
yeah.
Oh
Oh.
man.
So, the long gist of it was Metroid Dread was, or not Metroid Dread, sorry. Kotaku was actively encouraging its user base to emulate Metroid Dread 2 days before the game even released.
Yeah, with the quote, "But all you need is a Switch emulator and a decently powerful PC, and you can play Dread on your computer right
Yep.
now, and it looks great."
Which means the only way to do that is to illegally download the ROM. So Kotaku
Yeah,
pulled a very, very bad overall in that situation. It's honestly kind of hilarious to watch. So naturally, the internet took to the news by storm. You know,
yeah,
kind of just
mainly
making
mainly
a
Twitter.
big steaming pile of shit all over Kotaku. Naturally,
Yeah, and there was also a discussion of emulation and morality, but that's a discussion that's been started since the dawn of video
oh
gaming.
yeah, but long story short, don't emulate games that just came out. Super scummy. Or rather, don't download ROMs illegally of games that just came out. What do you think, Yoshi?
Honestly, this is like the worst, at least in my opinion, it's like the worst take for Kotaku can ever do, especially for a series that's already dying slowly for Metroid. Like, you don't want to take away from Metroid, you don't want to take away the sales from that game, that series, because as soon as the game start, Nintendo starts seeing that this game is not selling, and everyone's just pirating the game, uh, they're probably going to stop making this game series. They probably just going to stop here, probably cancel Metroid 4. Not really, but
Yeah, they've
they
already
probably
sank too
just,
much
Even
money
though it
into
does
that
look
vehicle
like
now.
Yeah, even though it does look like Dread is doing fucking gangbusters.
Oh yeah, I think bare minimum it's selling like 3 million copies or something. I think
Yeah.
the future of the series is no longer in question or doubt,
hmm
which is honestly
But
fucking fantastic.
but this is still a really dumb thing for Kotaku to do. And two funny things about this. One, they went, "Okay, whoa, we're gonna back up," with a update that they made. An earlier version of the story was misunderstood by many readers to be a direct suggestion to illegally download this just released game. Bullshit
uh-huh.
on that, but we regret this interpretation. Kotaku believes emulation is a vital part of the world of gaming, which it is. Not least when it comes to game preservation, while not directly encouraging anyone to break the law and download games they have not purchased. We believe our readers are intelligent adults capable of making such choices for themselves independently of us.
Misinterpretation my ass. It's literally in the article that all you need is a decent PC and a Switch emulator. There's nothing to misinterpret there.
Yeah,
They
there's
fucked up, plain and simple.
and Slade told me about this second thing that happened.
So, the funny thing is, Nintendo acted in retaliation. But the thing is, you can't take down a news publication or an article about anything that's not like directly harmful to like people or anything like that because free speech, this and that.
Well, they could have taken down that article, but they did something I think funnier.
Yeah, so what they did was they took down the review video, and I have to say, yeah, the Nintendo Ninjas, they came at them. It was pretty hilarious.
They definitely came at them.
Like, do Nintendo usually like go after reviewers at all?
Not necessarily. There was like some situation where I think it was with a Smash game or a Pokemon game. Like it got like leaked early, and then like a bunch of like Nintendo were like, we're not going to give as many people review copies. I could be misremembering that situation, but
that was for the Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
But that was such a long time ago. So seeing that Nintendo's actively now like very serious about when it comes to like their games and everything.
Well, okay. Well, you would go after them too if they made an article basically going wink wink, emulate this just released game, wink wink.
Not even released game.
Yeah, technically not even released at that time.
Not even released.
We know Nintendo that like they hate emulation. They hate the word emulation. They will find anything, any site that has their games, and they will take it down. They will cease and desist everything.
Yeah,
if they find it.
Seemed like the author of the article was kind of trying to be some sort of champion for emulating older games, while simultaneously telling people to emulate the game that hadn't came out just yet. So,
yeah,
all in all, Kotaku, very cringe. I don't know, honestly, why you would do that. Especially when, at that point, the series, future was in serious questionable doubt. And,
I don't think it is anymore, but
no,
still.
Obviously not. I think we're not only talking about, like, the Metroid series, like, continuing from on out, because obviously we're talking about Metroid Dread as, like, a potential game of the year, like, overall, with how, positively it's been received by anybody that knows how to do a decent job playing video games. I know there's that one really cringe video of this guy talking about how bad the video game design is because he didn't shoot the ceiling in a room or something. Where literally every other player in that video knew to shoot the ceiling.
Wow.
That shit's hilarious. I'm sorry. But, yeah, overall, Kotaku just pulled I'm not even going to say an oopsie, it's just, that was really bad. And honestly, Kotaku's kind of been fucking up for a while. I know all their, like, credible, like, journalists and writers have kind of jumped ship and whatnot over the past year and a half. I wonder if this is going to end up with them losing early access to, like, a lot of these Nintendo games.
Honestly, I feel that...
It's possible.
Yeah, it's a possibility. That's definitely, like... I don't know, Nintendo... As soon as you lose a chance with Nintendo, they don't give second chances out so easily.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like this.
All right.
So we will keep you guys updated if anything like that happens with Kotaku, and if they lose access or whatever.
Now let's talk about the other news. Oh yeah. Byron,
the other
big shoot.
Yep, I will explain this. So, first off, a quick note. There is new Animal Crossing DLC, paid DLC coming alongside the version 2 update. It's called Happy Home Paradise. It is going for $25, and it will be released on November 5th. There's a reason I'm mentioning this, because on the same day, we got more information about Nintendo Switch Online's expansion pack and what its pricing will be, which has caused some controversy.
To say the least.
Yeah, I'm going to note this right now. This expansion pack, it's optional. You don't have to buy it. With that disclaimer out of the way, here's the pricing. It is $19.99 US for the base pack. That's not changing. It is $49.99 for 12 months for the expansion pack, which includes the N64 games, which includes the Sega Genesis games, which are going to come out at the same rate as the NES, SNES games, like whenever. And it's also going to include access to that Animal Crossing DLC, which let's talk about that real quick. How do you guys feel about that DLC being a part of this?
I think the idea of DLC being included with the online subscription service, if done correctly, could actually be a really interesting concept. And I think a lot of people aren't talking about this because naturally, the shit show, that's the pricing model and the amount of content offered. But we'll get into that later. Trust me, you guys will hear plenty from me about that. I think if it's not just Animal Crossing, but they include other, first party Nintendo games DLC as like included in the expansion pack for like the pricing model. So let's say, for example, they made the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC free. If they made like the Breath of the Wild DLC free on there as well, that might limit a bit of the shit show we're seeing in regards to the pricing model. And I think that could ultimately be like a really interesting concept. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Honestly, I'm thinking the same way because like for now, at least as we see it, like early on, I don't think it's worth it. But later down the line, if they do continue to add more and more DLC from other Nintendo series, this is that bad of a deal, honestly. It saves people the trouble of, like they could like test out if they really want to like fully purchase this DLC for their own. When they like stop buying the expansion pack. This is a way to test drive it out. Just to see like, do I really want to keep playing this? Do
Yeah,
I really want full access to this DLC?
yeah, because you can buy the Happy Home package DLC for the $25 that it is, at least US dollars. Convert to your other languages or watch the Nintendo videos in your region. But yeah, it right now it's just Animal Crossing, and you do lose access to the DLC once your subscription runs out, which is natural. But apparently, with Animal Crossing, you won't lose like certain items that if it's like like a big part of like your home or whatever.
Interesting.
From what I've been seeing.
I did not know that actually.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yep. But yeah. So that is the individual pricing. The family pricing. It's $80 for up to 8 account holders. So if you get 8 people, if you get you and 7 other people together, that's only $10 a year per person, which if you can get that together, that's actually a steal. That is highway robbery right there. And I was able to pull up some other pricing from the UK. It is going to be 34.99 pounds, 39.99 euros for the expansion pack, and for the family plan version it will be 59.99 pounds, 99 euros.
What's
For
the normal plan in the UK?
Oh, the normal plan is 17.99 pounds for 12 months, 19.99 euros. Yeah.
So it sounds
For
like
the
they didn't get quite as screwed as we did over here in the
No.
US.
Well,
But
also consider that like $1 is like I think 73 pence.
that's fair.
So like convert to that. And a note, you can change over from your current membership at a prorated discount. Discount automatically applies when changing membership plans. Actual discount depends on how much time is left on current Nintendo Switch Online membership.
All right, Byron. Why don't you go ahead and give us your take on it before Yoshi and I open fire, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, I think all three of us could agree. We thought the pricing was going to be maybe $10 at most more. So it's going to be $29.99 a month. No, $29.99 per year. Excuse me on that. Per year for all this content. Agree or disagree with that?
I'm gonna say marginally agree. I thought between
Yeah.
$10 and $15 was what I thought it was gonna be. I was actually prepared to openly roast them for just $10 over because I still think that is a bit steep when all they're doing is adding 64 and Sega Genesis. So $30. Huh. Yeah, go ahead, Byron. Go ahead, give us your take.
But yeah, I am of the opinion I find it weird. Now, right now, obviously, I think Yoshi mentioned there may be other game DLC coming down the line that might be a part of this. We don't know that though, so we have to. Now, in the future, it might be. I find it weird that the Animal Crossing DLC is a part of this, but that's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one of the trio here.
No, I actually think it's crazy that the DLC is included as well. That's actually something that caught me off guard.
That was a real surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I will say I think something to consider in why it's so pricey. Probably rights. Probably like rights to get like the Sega Genesis stuff and like maybe some of the N64 games are a bit pricey. I'm looking at you, Banjo Kazooie.
Well, isn't like the Sega, or not the Sega, the Sonic Collection on there like only $9 or something like that?
There are some different games because there's a lot of there's quite a few Konami games that are also a part of the Genesis NSO lineup
I'm
as
just
well.
not sure that I buy rights issues
I,
as the
I feel like
determining
it's
factor.
I
Yeah,
feel like it's at least a factor. I would be shocked if that wasn't a factor.
Well, no, I
But
agree that it's a factor, but I don't think that's the. You can't point to the other
Maybe.
companies and be like, oh, that's why it's $30 more.
No,
Like,
no, I'm
I
just saying
heavily disagree with that take.
I'm just saying it could be a factor,
That's fair.
and
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree.
wasn't a
With
factor. But yeah, 50 is steep. Prices, the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The prices, value is different per person. It's now the lineups are going to grow, and I think it will eventually become a potentially good value. Maybe not over emulation, but that's a completely different discussion to have another day. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts. It's like, yeah, the price is more than I thought it would, and over time it probably could be a good value. But that price solo, that's eye-watering. If you can get 7 other people together, or even if you get like 4 people together, split it up with like a family plan, that's where I think the real, like, you get a ridiculous value with the family pack. Regular, it's remains to be seen. IMO. Slade, Yoshi, go fire off. I'm gonna grab me a drink.
that. All right. So, do you want to start or do I want to start, Yoshi?
You go ahead. I'll just piggyback off you.
Okay, so let's put this into context. I'm actually going to pull this up here on the podcast because, you know, this is a podcast, not exactly a fully pre-recorded show. I'm going to pull up the prices for PlayStation Network as a, a comparable online service, as well as Xbox Live, including the Game Pass. So, right now, for PlayStation Network, the pricing model for monthly payment is $9.99. A little bit more than what you're currently seeing with Nintendo Switch Online in terms of monthly payment, because I think they only have the yearly subscription model, if I'm not mistaken. They have a quarterly payment of $24.99 and a yearly payment of $59.99 for an entire year. So, okay, it's about $10 more than what Nintendo Switch Online is offering. What's the big deal? Why are we in arms about this? just think
Hmm.
for a second what PlayStation Network offers in comparison to Nintendo Switch Online, and why it's incredibly cringe that Nintendo would even have the audacity to think $50 is enough for that pricing model. So, PlayStation Network, some of the lesser talk features is you get a game for free every month you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus. Um, so that's a game completely for free. As in, you download
Yeah.
it, it's yours until the end of time.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like, oh, these are old games like the 64 or the Super Nintendo or whatever, which are like, you know, the emulated games on the Switch themselves. I'm talking like a modern game. It probably came
Well,
out
you
within
lose
like the last 5 years.
well, you lose access to the game once your subscription runs out, but that's just natural for a
Yeah,
subscription.
that's natural for subscription
Still,
models. It's the same with Game Pass and Nintendo Switch Online. It's yeah.
still, you can access to
I just
triple A
wanted to yeah, I
titles.
just wanted to bring that point
Okay.
up.
PlayStation Network also has voice chat, party chat, and an in console messaging system that is way more intuitive than basic ass friend codes. As I said, this is basic shit that has been a part of the industry, I think, since the original Xbox, for Christ's sake. And Nintendo's still using friend codes. And we're paying, you know, for that service. I already thought $19.99 a year for the basic Nintendo Switch Online was already extremely cringe.
I
That's just
want to. I
PlayStation
want to
Network.
say.
Go ahead, Yoshi.
I want to. I want to be on the defense of Nintendo. This one time. Uh, on the Wii U, their one of their worst selling consoles got rid of the friend code system in exchange for username. Like you can look up someone's username and add them in that certain way. Now I stopped defending Nintendo on that point. Is why did they backtrack and start using the friend code system once again? Like what? Why in their mind they decide like, all right, this is not working properly or as we wanted to do. Let's go back. Let's make it a harder system by adding like a bunch of random numbers for every single Switch owner to
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
remember.
that's a bit. Yeah, I think everybody watching can agree. Like, why Nintendo on the friend code thing.
That's the only thing I'll say Nintendo at least was doing right at the time. Now I just question why did they just went back to it. Like I have not seen a good reason why they decided to use friend codes again. Uh, Another thing, the piggyback off what Slade was saying about like the Xbox Live and PlayStation Game Pass and such is like this is the one main thing I wanted to see if they're going to increase the price for NSO was the online say stability. I was hoping like maybe with this expansion pack we'll get like a better online service. You know, maybe we'll finally get servers. Maybe we'll stop using that what like Windows 98 server they've been using that we heard about back in the day.
Yeah.
I think maybe they'll improve on that. They give us something a little bit better, not something that's not like peer to peer, something that's like tolerable at least, especially with a huge successful game such as Smash Brothers, where it requires like everyone to have good connection to be actually playable and fun, and not as frustrating.
Right.
Uh, PlayStation offers that. Xbox offer that. Maybe with like a $10 more from either companies, but at least they offer it for one.
Well, and for Microsoft, that's just Xbox Live at the $59.99 model. Game Pass is its own separate beast, which I'm going to cover that right now because I actually think bringing up Game Pass is a pretty decent comparison, even though the price is nearly it's actually double it for a full year, but for very good reason.
Yeah,
So obviously, a year-long subscription of Xbox Live Gold is $59.99, and for a year, it's actually $99.99. You think $100? Wow, that's sure really steep. But in terms of Game Pass, you're getting brand new video games. I'm talking like literally day one release video games available on there at your access at any time. You're basically getting a video game rental store at your fingertips instantly off the bat for $100 a year. And you have access to some of the best video games available, if not almost all of the video games available on Xbox, which is absolutely insane. Like, a lot of people, when you like look at like the deal you get from Game Pass, from like the number of games they provide, the quality of the games and whatnot, like, it is a steal compared to like actually going out there and buying all of those games individually and whatnot. And once again, we're not talking like, oh, these were Xbox games or 360 games. We're talking about modern and even more so versus the PlayStation Plus. We're talking about current games that are being released day one being available on Xbox Game Pass. Like, that to me is insane. So you see that, you know, the competitor companies are doing, you know, these crazy, insane deals for like things really good. Also, Xbox has, you know, built-in voice chat, party chat, messaging, all that jazz, right? And that's not even going into all the apps like, you know, a web browser and Netflix, etc. Which, by the way, NSO doesn't even have that.
Let me add on to that as well. Apparently, looking at the Xbox Live website, they also offer like discounts on AAA games as well if you have the Xbox Gold.
Oh yeah,
So
that's not even Game Pass. That's just Xbox Gold. And like the thing about Game Pass is they also even have, you know, a great entry point seller where the first month you're subscribed to Xbox Game Pass, it is only $1.
Now, I will say that that deal will eventually run out.
Yeah, it's not always $1, but what I'm saying is like being able to play basically 200 or 300 modern video games for $1 right off the fucking bat.
Well, that's
Fine.
more so like the quote unquote introductory price to get people on.
Yeah,
this.
and once again, it's still $99.99 a year, but in the end, for the number of games you're getting that are all modern, day one releasing, that is actually an amazing deal, like overall.
yeah,
So you see that the competitor companies offer all of these things
and more.
and more for the pricing model, and Nintendo is honestly failing to deliver the bare minimum. And they have the audacity to charge as much as Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Network. Like, to me, it's absolutely insane that people will actually sit there and defend Nintendo's pricing model. Because let's say you don't have Animal Crossing. You don't have Animal Crossing New Horizons whatsoever. I get that that's a third or more of all Nintendo Switch users, but let's do some math real quick. There's about 60 million people who do not own Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yeah.
You are not getting that $25 DLC included for free
Yeah,
if you don't have that game.
Yeah.
And like Yoshi said, maybe in the future more DLCs will be included in this.
Yeah, that could be really interesting. Like I said, they could add the Breath of the Wild DLC, the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. They could do a lot of different things, like the Splatoon DLC as well.
But that's
But
like
they aren't
huge...
in the future. We don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
huge possibility.
I'm just
For
wanting to
people
make
who do
a note
not
of
own
that. Yeah.
Animal Crossing, you're paying an extra $30 a year to be drip-fed 64 Sega Genesis titles. Not modern stuff like you're seeing on Xbox Game Pass. And you're not getting like modern game a month for free from PlayStation Plus. We're talking about games that are well over 20, in some cases even 30 years old,
Some
being
that are
drip
still
fed at a
accessible.
snail's pace over the span of a year. And you're paying $30 for that. And this isn't even on top of the fact that we don't have, you know, built-in voice chat. We don't have a party chat system. We don't have a in-console messaging system. We don't have many of the basic apps you see, like a app for web browsing. You don't have Netflix. You don't have a lot of the apps you see on both PlayStation and Microsoft, as well as handheld devices in general, like iPads and stuff. You don't have any of that. And This shit's so archaic that we're still using friend codes. The internet quality for 99.9% of games, like Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart 8, is an absolute fucking dumpster fire. And they want us to cough up $50 for that.
It was already awful enough that we're actually paying $20 for not even the same like content that even the 3DS had access to. 3DS has access to the internet browser. They have access to online, of course. They have access to Netflix. They have access to anything that the Switch lacks. The DS had, which is
Don't they
very
still have
funny.
access to the virtual eShop as well? For like
That
older
is also
titles?
very true. That's another thing that these games that Nintendo is drip feeding to us. We could also just buy on a different console for probably less of a price. Maybe like isn't it like $5 for N64 games on the Wii U?
Well, I'm pretty sure
No,
they shut down the Wii U eShop, so they're not
no,
available
I,
anymore.
I I think it was either $10 or $15
But
for
you got to keep those
N64.
games permanently.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very, very different argument.
So like
Obviously, I
compared
think
to,
the Wii U eShop's the best online shop any console's ever had, period. But that's just me.
I feel like the was the better VC than the Wii U, but
Okay,
also the
well,
Wii.
it was one of those two. I
Yeah,
stand by my
yeah,
statement.
Wii definitely, but still though, having full access to all these games from your older consoles, and now we have to like pay $50 just to play these games again. Like online by itself, sure, that's a really good feature for
yeah.
this, but I don't think that's $50 worth. Because I feel
Well,
like
okay, it may not be $50 worth, but there may be some value to it because some people don't want to have to deal with the hassle of using like Project 64 NetPlay.
Yeah.
that's completely understandable. But I feel like maybe at least in my opinion, I feel like the expansion pack should be at least like they should like separate the features of what people want. Because there are some people, like you said earlier, some people that don't own Animal Crossing, or just don't even like the game in general, or just stop playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
like
don't
I'm surprised they
they
didn't
don't
go
see any
like
worth.
a la carte. Like, hey, if you just want the N64 games, you can sub to this to just have the N64 games in addition to Switch Online, or if you just want the Genesis games, blah blah blah. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that, but
To me,
Well, of
I just
course,
think it's criminal. I think the whole thing's
knowing that
criminal.
they just don't like options. They
I
they
said
hate that
I
idea.
was prepared before they announced the pricing models for their online services and whatnot for the expansion pack. I was prepared to roast them if it was just $30 or $35, but 50, holy shit, that is like new levels of like bad. Like I'm sorry, like I honestly can't fathom how anybody could look at what Microsoft PlayStation does and look at what Nintendo's doing and try to justify that. I really can't.
Highway robbery in a way at the same time.
Like,
Another thing to piggyback off of is the games we're getting drip fed. Like that kind of like pushes the idea that like we already know how Nintendo works with these games. Like they come monthly, or you get like one or two games monthly, or even if we do get that,
well,
uh,
it's gonna be whenever they release them now. But
yeah, that's even worse of an idea right there. That promotes that people shouldn't buy the expansion pack at all until we get like more games that've been added to the NSO. Like, why do we want to spend our money now when we have no games really to play instead of
well,
just
no,
waiting?
okay, the roster of like launch N64 games is pretty decent.
yeah, they got Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64. This is all in launch. Mario
Yeah,
Kart 64.
or
Am I missing
Mario
any major?
Tennis.
Yeah, Mario Tennis. Like,
Still,
not only are these
I
games all on release, they're also multiplayer online for the first time ever in official capacity.
Yeah,
So,
so like there is some pretty good value there,
yeah, there
honestly.
is. And I'm not saying there isn't. But that value to me at maximum is $10. It's not $30. And the service as a whole, because as I said, before they even announced the expansion for Nintendo Switch Online, I was already sitting here saying that 1999 model for regular Nintendo Switch Online and the state that it was currently in was already robbery. Adding another $30 on top of that and only adding, 64 and Genesis games to be drip fed, to me is just
Now,
it's criminal. And I
now
get
who
that
knows?
this includes the Animal Crossing DLC. Now, I understand a third of all Switch users own Animal Crossing New Horizon. I get that.
Oh, well, and who knows? Maybe the expansion pack will include more consoles down the road. Of course, we don't know that, but there is a chance they could.
I had a feeling, like an aching feeling about that maybe if we do get more access to like other console games, they might increase the price a little bit more. Like an
I
additional
I
$5.
highly doubt that because I think the only consoles left to really add are basically the Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, pretty much.
Yeah, as much as I want to believe GameCube games are coming, but I feel like it's gonna like take the time to remaster them and sell it to us.
Yeah,
Like,
because I
Yeah.
think if past indicators are any indication, like how they remastered the GameCube Zelda games, they remastered Sunshine and made it part of the 3D collection for Mario All Stars. I imagine for GameCube games onwards, and rightfully so, because I think the whole industry looks at that generation as like these games don't need to release in their original state; they can easily be remastered with updated models and lighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty standard for the industry. You see a bunch of PS2 games getting remastered, as well as a bunch of Xbox games getting remastered. So it makes sense that those GameCube games would be on the remastering table as well.
Yeah.
All right. So
Oh, yeah?
any final takes on this before we wrap up the episode?
uh,
I feel like you guys laid it all out pretty much.
well, I want to say what Byron said. Like, if you manage to find 8 people for the family plan, then yeah, go for it. But
I
if
think
you think you
otherwise. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, like
Okay, you don't necessarily need 8 people. Even if you have like 4 people, that's still like a good value for like
turn
the
it
family.
away. Get a family plan, basically.
Yeah, that's who the hell asks advice.
Yeah,
Try
if
to
you're
get
going
people
to
on
get
for a
it, no
family
matter what,
plan.
get the family plan. I actually
Get the
have
family
separate
plan.
advice. I think we need, and this is the thing that's really cringe, because I know a lot of people will sit here and they'll rant about how terrible Pokemon Sword and Shield were before it released, how those models looked and how they cut most of the Pokemon. And then you want to know what those same people did? They went out and bought the game anyway. And they made Pokemon Sword and Shield the best-selling Pokemon games in the franchise. So, you're not going to get your message across if you're going to continue to buy their product. So, my advice is this. Don't pay for it. Straight up like, nah. Don't pay the $50 subscription model for, the expansion pack and whatnot. And if nobody buys it, they'll either have to retune their prices or get rid of it entirely.
And only do if you think there's no value, which Slade thinks there's not. It's not worth
No, I think
$50.
there's okay. I think there's great things in terms of like the 64 games online and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
There.
What I'm saying is, you don't think it's worth $50.
I'm not paying
Yeah.
$50 for it, and
Yeah.
I
It's
think
not 100%, but
I think people, if they legitimately have a problem with what they're doing, then they need to vote with their wallets and actually like not shell out money and pay for the shit. Like, because if everyone ends up going out, buying this model, doing whatever, looking the other way, that just gives them the okay to keep doing it. And to keep doing it, because that's, you have to have fan outcry and whatnot when it comes to these kind of things. But it can't just be, a vocal minority on, Twitter or like on social media and stuff like that. You have to actually impact the company in question or they're going to keep doing it. So I'm going to
So
vote
if-
with my
if-
wallet. I'm not paying for the service. I'm not even going to pay for a family plan and split it with a lot of people I know IRL who'd probably be down to do it with me. Simply because I feel like this is not okay. I'm not going to stand for it.
So basically, if you think it's worth it, buy it. If you don't, don't.
Solid
Alrighty.
advice there,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, this has been Slade.
This has been Byron, and where can people find you, Yoshi?
Of course. If you want to see more of me, I have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/YoshiPhoenix. I stream almost daily. If you don't like watching streams, I also do YouTube content, and I'm also on Twitter. Also, YouTube/YoshiPhoenix or YoshiPhoenix1 on Twitter. But yeah,
Alrighty. Hope you all
thanks
have a good
for
day.
having me.
That's it, everybody. We will see you next time.